Welcome to our weekly sports wrap-up. I'm Sarah Jones. Today, we'll be covering the possibility of an NFL team in London, the biggest NFL upsets this past week, and disputes about the Giants. Let's hear from Matt and Jake discussing their opinions on whether London should have an NFL team.
An NFL team in London. That has become the debate over the past few weeks. I've got Jake McDonald, our NFL analyst, here to debate it with me. So Jake, should there be an NFL team in London? We've had some success with the London games throughout the years. So should there be a permanent NFL team stationed in London, England now?
No, I mean, logistically, it just wouldn't work. Are you going to ask a team to, play 8 home games and play 8 games on the road, or, have 4 home games, 4 on the road, vice versa? It just, you're asking families to move. You're asking, players to go back and forth between different sides of the pond. I just think when you look at all things considered, it wouldn't work. And, the international series, I think it's great because there are fans in London. But at the same time, when you have the same team going there every season, like the Jaguars, who have outscored their opponents in their last 3 London games, 108-65, going 3-0, they're just used to going over there by this point. And the other teams, like the Ravens, who went over there for the first time last week, it was their first time. I think, I'm not using it as an excuse, but it definitely put them at a disadvantage going into that game, and then you had all the political stuff happen too. So it was just a crapshoot for that instance. But going back to the question, I don't think so. The logistics, wouldn't work. Do I think it's going to happen? Probably, unfortunately. I would like to see maybe a little smaller league take place over there, but we'll have to see. But I do not think a team should be over there.
So that's all we've got. We're going to kick it back to the next topic we've got.
Let's take it to Jimmy and Aaron as they break down the biggest NFL upsets of Week 3.
Week 3 upsets in the NFL. Hi, I'm Jimmy Brown alongside here with Aaron Kaplan, and we're here to talk about what we felt were some of the biggest upsets in Week 3. Aaron?
So it was an interesting week for football in the NFL, to say the least, but there was one game that really caught my eye. My pick for biggest upset from Week 3 was the Bears beating the Steelers 23-17. Although I'm not a fan of them or any Pittsburgh team for that matter, the Steelers have proven over the years that they can consistently win under coach Mike Tomlin and veteran quarterback Ben Roethlisberger. That paired with Pro Bowler wide receiver Antonio Brown, Martavius Bryant, and arguably one of the best running backs in the league in Le'Veon Bell, that really fuels their offensive juggernaut. But this past week they gave up 222 yards rushing and only sacked quarterback Mike Glennon twice. So that really wasn't that great. Their defense really needs to get it together. They missed tackles, they missed angles. Bears had 38 runs and 22 passes and beat, one of the best teams in the NFL. They ran all over them. So that was the biggest upset last week for me, in my opinion.
Okay, well, for my biggest upset, I would have to say the Redskins over the Raiders. Redskins won 27-10. I don't feel as though the Raiders played up to what we believe that the Raiders should have. Coming off of a good season last year, they went 12-4 in 2016, as well with a playoff run. Unfortunately, Derek Carr suffered an injury, so they ended up losing to the Texans in the wild card game. But bringing Marshawn Lynch out of retirement, I thought definitely would help the Raiders out. We know beast mode, being such a phenomenal running back, so we definitely thought it would bring a change. He had 6 attempts with 0 touchdowns. Derek Carr didn't play too well either. He only had 19 for 31 with 118 yards, 2 interceptions, and 1 touchdown. On the Redskins side, Kirk Cousins had a phenomenal game, 25 for 30 for 365 yards and 3 touchdowns. I personally feel like this was the biggest upset, just like I said, because we expected so much from the Raiders, and I feel like they let a lot of people down who tuned into the game. So.
Yeah, I definitely think they didn't live up to their potential.
Well, that's all we have for Week 3 upsets. Thanks, Sarah.
What's wrong with the Giants? Here's Justin and Jack covering what could be going wrong.
Hello, everyone. I'm Justin Rodriguez.
And I'm Jack Burns.
And we're here to talk about what's wrong with the New York Giants.
Well, there can be many things with that one there, Justin.
Yeah, over the past couple of weeks, everyone's been kind of talking about, who's to blame, pointing to the scapegoat. Is it Eli Manning that's responsible for the New York Giants over the past 3 weeks? And honestly, I was surprised that the Giants didn't come out stronger. I picked them winning the NFC East. So, I don't know. What do you think about, who's to blame here?
Well, right now I think that the Giants really don't have anyone that has any idea what they're doing on the offense right now. Let's start with that. There is maybe one notable running back in Shane Vereen, but he's on the high tail end of his career. And with Manning throwing 4 touchdowns and 5 interceptions in just these 3 games so far, you can start with that. And you can also say something about the receiving core with Brandon Marshall not showing up, Odell Beckham Jr. dealing with injuries, Evan Engram not producing what they really need. There's a lot of things, but you can't really say it right now what's specifically wrong with the Giants.
I don't really think that it's fair to kind of blame Eli Manning for all of it. That's not fair at all. Honestly, I really think it was, a GM issue where on the offseason, yeah, sure, you collected all these receivers. You collected Brandon Marshall. You still have OBJ. You still have Sterling Shepard. So you have these receivers, but at the same point in time, they never really addressed the fact that their offensive line wasn't that great last season. And you see that a lot this season. And I think perhaps like the biggest thing that I think they did wrong was over like the offseason, they never really tried to make the push to get a true every down running back, and they've never really had a run game. I mean, even in past, I don't think they've surpassed 50 yards in any of their first 3 outings, and that could be an offensive line issue too, but you really need a run game to complement an aging quarterback. Yeah. I'm not going to say that Eli Manning is someone like Drew Brees where, the team around him could just be, not that great, and he's just going to go for 5,000 yards and help them make a push in the playoffs. Eli, he's not that great, but he's not terrible. He's not as bad as everyone's saying he is. They really need to build an offensive line around him or try to get a run game going so he doesn't have to do everything. I mean, every game he's throwing for almost, 40 pass attempts or more. And, I mean, even in their last outing against the Eagles where, they looked their best, I guess you could say, Eli threw 47 times. And still, like I said in the run game, there's only 49 yards on the ground. So it's too much pressure to put on him. So good luck, Giants, and good luck, Giants fans. Hang in there. Now it's on to our next segment.
That's all we have this week on the Wrap Up. I'm Sarah Jones. Join us next week for more sports talk.